Hello and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I am your host, an Untitled Anarchist Seagull called Elise, and we're going to be having another of these Respite streams, just because if you're like me, you've been focused very heavily on the just horror and ghoulishness, the horror of just this fucking genocide that is going on in Gaza. And the ghoulishness of all these fucking Western leaders, including fucking Joe Biden, who gives the mass murderer and Netanyahu just this really creepy hug, and then says, "Ooh, looks like the other team did it, but not everybody's convinced. We're gonna need to work on that." And it's like, yeah, nobody's convinced of that bullshit story because it's bullshit. But of course, now we're supposed to pretend that everything's a fucking mystery because it could be aliens. Yeah. I mean, just a level of ghoulishness that I have to say, as somebody who has paid pretty close attention to all this for over 20 years now, is actually pretty off the charts when you get down to it. And on top of that, I've just had a hell of a week. So I was trying to get... They just recently approved Novavax. And all the studies that I've seen suggest that there's a serious edge to getting Novavax over the others. So I decided I wanted to give that a go. And wow, is that not easy. I mean, it is impressively difficult. Okay, so I got an appointment all the way up by Dayton, and got there, and my mother, my stepfather, they both were able to get it. I was not. They told me, because there was a $140 copay. That's the cost of the dose. That's just 100% of the cost of the dose. She said, but she tells me, she was very nice, "Oh, well, we can't take money for this. Because it's meant to be free. So we just can't give this to you." And it's like, okay. And so I decided I'm gonna that sucked. So the next day I figure, maybe there's some sort of problem on the end of my insurance company. And it turned out my auto pay hadn't been working. I brought my insurance up to date with $450 that I really could have used for a lot of other things. Only to discover, after about an hour and a half, trying to talk to people at my insurance company, and they call the people who run interference between patients and the help they need, they call those people member advocates, which, I mean, that's just pissing in somebody's pint and saying it tastes better at room temperature. Fucking advocates. You work for the people that we need advocacy against. They fuck off. So it turned out they just don't cover Novavax. That's a thing they're allowed to do. They're just allowed to say, okay, well, we're not going to cover that one. So that was like $450 for fuck all, really, because that insurance sucks. It doesn't cover any of my fucking needs. And anyway, so then I figured that out. There's this bridge access program that allows you to get it for free if your insurance doesn't cover it or you don't have insurance, except not everybody's participating in it because you can just not participate in this. It's only a public health disaster. Why would you need all the pharmacies participating in such a thing? And so I had to spend several hours on the phone trying to find somebody who could actually who actually had an appointment free and actually had Novavax, so I could get in and get my fucking vaccination. And the whole time, I had to listen to the Muzak version of the 80s hit, "She Drives Me Crazy," which is, that's, again, a bit on the nose, because I was definitely very close to losing my shit. Hello, River Rune, after a couple hours of it. Especially after I'd realized what the song was that they had Musakified. So, yeah. So I managed to find a place where I can get it done, and I go, and it's in the middle of a Target, which, I mean, of course, why not? Why not? Hello, Reckless Future. So I get it done, and it's sorted, and it all went pretty well. I mean, it hurt, and the thing is, I mean, the great thing about this particular errand that was taking forever for me to do is that on the end of it is that I get to confront one of my worst phobias. Because needles freak me right the fuck out. So it's like all this agony of sitting there listening to listening to this hold music, while at the same time keeping an eye on the just mass fucking slaughter that's going on, and the end point of it, if successful, is that I get to confront a thing that freaks me out. But so I managed all that, and I was feeling pretty good after that. I mean, it used up a whole lot of money that I didn't have in order to get something that I could have just gotten for free anyway if I had just gone to the right place, which, I mean, that wasn't great. Which is why I'd like to just note, I have a Patreon, and your support is very much appreciated if it's something that you're able to part with, and if not, don't feel bad, please. But I always do love to see new supporters on Patreon. But anyway, so I got that done. I was feeling pretty good. And I decided after dinner, I felt like having a bit of a walk. I like to do, like, night walks occasionally. It's just a way to get my thoughts straight and stuff. And so I was going to just walk down to the, like, corner shop, which is about a 20-30 minute walk, get some snacks and shit, and then head back. Except that only a third of the way through, I walked on some wet grass. I walked on some wet grass in just the right way that caused my leg to buckle and fold up in a very unnatural way under my body, causing extreme, excruciating pain. I basically just, like, just wrecked multiple tendons in my right ankle, and then had to somehow limp my way back, which, I mean, I was in tears because it's like, it was just way too much that day. And so I've been, since then, like, wrapping it and icing it and trying to recover and just gradually deal with it. I mean, it isn't hurting anywhere near as bad as it was. I wouldn't be doing this stream if it was hurting that bad, because, like, I was flat out just being able to walk up and down the fucking stairs that first night. But so this is a recovery stream in more than one sense, and so we're going to... Oh, well then, you did great considering. Thank you, River Rune. I think I gave you my bad luck demon, says Reckless Future. Well, somebody must have. Somebody must have. At least I got the fucking vaccination, I'll say that. At least, and I will say, Novavax, unlike the mRNAs, see, each of them, I've had sort of the whole set. Oh, I would have appreciated, all I really would have needed is someone to hold me under my, like, armpit, so that I wouldn't have to walk on that leg. Each time I'd had one of those, and I've kind of taken the set, except for AstraZeneca, Moderna and Pfizer, I've had both. And both of those I ended up, like, feeling shitty for, like, the night afterwards. And you know, I woke up and I felt fine. But this time, with this one, you know, it's just a slight sort of very faint bruised sensation. And, I mean, now I feel great. Oh, thank you, River Rune. I will say, I think I am healing pretty quickly. Like, I am able... I had a walking stick all yesterday, which was freaking out the parrot. He does not like long cylindrical objects. He does not like and he just, like, yells at you about them, growls, and freaks out, and it actually was kind of hurting my feelings a little bit. But today I was able to walk around without that. It still hurts a bit. I'm still taking it easy and putting tons of Voltarol gel on it. But I think within a week or so, it'll be fine. You really do get an amazing appreciation of anatomy when something like this happens, because you end up feeling the insertion points of all the different tendons. It's very choice. But okay, so we're gonna do some unproductive dunking. And chat, if you've got some ideas, if you got some videos you'd like me to just dunk on, feel free to queue them on up. I warn you that YouTube, as you probably have noticed, has decided to make it impossible to use the current generation of ad blockers. Which, as a YouTube content creator, actually pisses me off a little bit, because if anything, I'm generating maybe 5 cents a month in ad revenue for them. But so we're going to have to put up with some ad bullshit a little bit. But if anyone in chat has some ideas of stuff they would like to see me dunk on, don't be a stranger. Other than that, let me see. We're gonna just get these off because I already did them. Oh well, I mean, it can be anything. If it is guten Abend, GGM. It can be pretty much anything. It just has to be chud content that looks like it might be funny for me to take the piss out of. So I mean, ooh, God, yeah, tendonitis, fun stuff. Yeah, I mean, so anything. I mean, I was thinking of starting out with, this is some bullshit that I got in my recommendations. And it's 7 minutes long, so we could just start out with this, and we could definitely do more than one thing. From somebody I've never heard of called Asher Jacks, called "Why Are American Women So Masculine?" And he's filmed it in his car, which, as was the fashion at the time. So I think we might start out with this. It's short, and I mean, if anyone's got ideas, just drop the links in chat or in the Discord. Here, actually, let me see. I'm gonna have to make an adjustment to Nightbot. Hang on a second. Because authorize. Dashboard. Where are my settings? Links. Disable. Okay, disabling the links. Hello, yes. So we're going to start out with, why are American women so masculine? And I think you should be able to post links to anything that you might want me to check out on stream in chat now. I think I have disciplined Nightbot. If not, drop them in the Discord. Oh, here we go. This is by Asher Jacks. This guy has 12.9k subscribers. And he's filming this shit in his car. And if you like GeoGuessr, you'll probably be sitting here like me, trying to figure out where he is. So here we go. And let me know if I need to make any adjustments to the audio.
What's up, guys? Hope you're having a good day. So I want to pose a question today.
Ooh, he's going to pose a question. And he's got gestures, too.
And maybe we'll come to an answer. Or maybe somebody, please somebody.
You may keep your hands on the fucking wheel. You're driving. You gonna have an accident trying to gesticulate for YouTube, motherfucker? I mean, you're gonna do that and you insist on filming it in your car. Why don't you just park?
Answer this question or give a solution.
Oh, he's
to
not
this
driving
problem. And that question is this: why are American specifically, or you can say Western, but I'm gonna say American because I don't even think it's as bad over in the UK or I don't know.
What the fuck is this?
Where else there would be Western? Like Germany, I know it's not this bad, and they're considered Western. But why in America are women so damn masculine?
Get your hands on the fucking steering column. The text on the dude's video thumbnail said, "Your mom failed you." Jesus, like, sir, this is a Wendy's.
I mean, has anyone noticed this?
No.
Women here are so fucking manly. Like earlier today, I was watching this YouTube video. It popped up randomly, and it was like,
Yeah, excellent sample right there. I mean, YouTube recommendations are famously a great way to keep your finger on the pulse of a given demographic of roughly 50% of the population.
The title of her channel was like Karen the Korean or something like that. Pretty fitting. Her name was fucking Karen, right? But I don't remember exactly what her name was.
Why was it fitting?
But it was something like that, Karen the Korean. And I was like, with a name like that, I already know this is gonna be a dumb fucking retarded American girl.
Oh, wonderful. We got some ableism. And so with a name that says that she's Korean, you immediately decided that she had to be American. I mean, this guy's deductive reasoning, you really can't fault it.
Who's not Korean at all. So I click on the video, and she goes, "Hey guys, I'm over here in Korea with my friend Brandon." And then this fucking white dude pops up in the video, and they're like, "Yeah, we're already drunk."
Yeah, okay. So, roughly, I mean, qualitatively, I have to say he's not in a position to complain. Because he's making a video of him, driving to the fucking supermarket in this wonderful sweatshirt.
I'm like, you are not Korean! You are not Asian! You are American! You are Americanizing!
How the fuck do you know? How the fuck do you know?
Suck! And you are the problem with America!
Well, I mean, I'm glad we've got somebody to tell us this. I mean, this is... I never would have figured that out, but he's got it. He cracked the case. He cracked the case. Dude in the sweatshirt who screams at his phone while driving, he cracked the case.
So I'm just like, click off the video. I fucking knew it before I even clicked on it.
So he didn't even watch the fucking video he's talking about. He just saw, like, the first thing, so the first 5 seconds and clicked off it. Well, I mean, really, conscientious reviewer.
No Korean girl would have a stupid name like that in the first place.
I follow a lot of Korean language channels that have names just like that, actually. I speak Korean. I don't know if everyone in chat knows that. Yeah, I'm guessing that he takes stills from his YouTube channel and puts it up on Tinder. Oh, he's angry because a YouTube video had a woman in it and she said hello.
I'm so tired of this guy. It's literally like, why? When I say feminine, okay, let me try.
Oh, great! This guy's gonna define femininity. I was waiting for somebody to finally give us a working definition, and he looks like the guy to do it too.
Let me explain what I mean. Like, dignified.
So hey, just wanting to make sure you can hear this, okay, right? Like, whether you like it to, whether you want to or not. I want to make sure that my audio levels, because I was noticing when I was clipping stuff from the last stream that my audio in particular was really harsh. Like, it was clipping, it was really on the high range, and I adjusted the volume on my mic to turn the gain down a bit. Yeah, this dude...
Elegant. When was the last time, like, think about this. I've had this conversation with, like, people that I know in real life. I'm like, think about this. When was the last time you actually met or saw...
Yeah, I'm glad this guy's going to tell us about elegance. I mean, just look at this ensemble that he's put on in order to shoot a YouTube video. I mean, he puts so much thought into this, like, post-apocalyptic, rubble-clearing worker outfit he's got on.
Oh, an elegant, thin, in shape...
Oh, of course she has to be thin.
...shape... a woman that just demands respect. no tattoos. And you just see her and you're like, wow, I just respect her so much for being a real woman. What was...
Okay, you know, you can demand respect with tattoos. In fact, I mean, I've known some of the women I know who are most effective in demanding respect actually have tattoos. Although I'm guessing that, like, literally demanding respect is probably not within this prick's definition of feminine.
When was the last time you saw that in America?
I've seen that quite a lot, actually. I've seen quite a lot of that, actually.
When was the last time?
Many times.
All I see is fucking white trash, hicks, fucking from the trailer park. Girls covered with tattoos. Fucking acting like men. The only difference between...
You mean driving badly and screaming into your phone? Like, acting like men that way?
Between them and men is they have a pussy. They might shave their legs and underarms.
I'm guessing... I mean, look at the guy. I mean, this guy doesn't even shave his face completely. I mean, look at all this wonderful, like, stubble he's got going on here. He stops his shaving. He's got a very clear, like, boundary here. And it's the chin, and it's up here. I'm guessing if we remove that very fragrant-looking sweatshirt, we will also find lots of uncontrollable back hair as well. And he's going to be talking about other people's fucking shaving habits.
And that's it.
Yeah, trailer dress. So, I mean, he's also just classist as fuck. Oh, yeah. Of course, yeah, I mean, I'm sure this guy is just totally respectful of women. Like, I mean, you can just tell this is absolutely the sort of guy that, you know, you would love to let your daughter date if your daughter was a professional kickboxer who was looking for some practice.
Everything else is fucking manly as fuck. They talk manly. They have a manly air about themselves.
I think that's that sweatshirt. You should probably wash it once in a while.
Yeah, I might go to the bar later and have a couple drinks with my girls.
So, why women have friend? Why women go place with friend?
What the fuck? Who the fuck wants that shit? Why are you talking like a man?
Wait, how is that talking like a man? It's just, I'm gonna go and have a drink with my girlfriends. Like, what? How is she supposed to fucking say that? Wow. Okay, this guy gets a TFG. This guy totally gets a TFG. Hang on, there's gotta be a way to organize these things. Yeah, total TFG right here.
Dude.
He's talking about how he, like, actually, I believe this is an oblique way of saying that nobody wants to sleep with him, but he's decided to make it about how specifically American women are manly because they like to go out with their friends, apparently.
I mean, do you not know how to be feminine?
How? Well, maybe you could teach them. Do you know how? Like, I mean, do you know how to do it? Like, maybe you, I mean, well, let's see it. Come on, dude. Teach them.
You are a woman. Act like a fucking woman. Why does every woman now...
You are driving. Keep your eye on the fucking road.
Hey, sounds like a dyke.
Dykes are women last time I checked, most of them. Dyke here, also woman.
Who likes to get her pussy fingered by another woman?
We've established that his problem is actually that he has never made a woman come.
Or...
This guy is a pussy dehydrator. Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm interested. I want her number. I'll take his sloppy seconds.
I don't know. I mean, the problem is, I can answer that question of why.
Then why are you asking it?
They act that way or why they're not feminine. I can answer that basic question.
Then answer it.
Because their mom was a dumb idiot fucking manly woman too. So
I didn't understand. Like, what the? I didn't understand that sentence at all.
like a dyke who likes to get her pussy fingered by
This
another
guy. Okay, I just realized this guy looks like Ben Affleck if Good Will Hunting hadn't taken off.
woman. Or I don't know. I mean, the problem is, I can answer that question of why they act that way or why they're not feminine. I can answer that basic question because their mom was a dumb idiot fucking manly woman too.
There are like 5 syllables in there that I still can't make sense out of.
So obviously your offspring is gonna be like you, but a little bit worse.
Because that's how genetics works.
It gets a little bit worse every time, right? So like in the 60s...
This is like, okay, Adam Sandler would play this guy as a character.
Like her great-grandma or her grandma was kind of a piece of shit, kind of a manly woman.
You realize that a piece of shit and a manly woman are two very different things. See, Yuma dude, piece of shit, not a manly woman.
And then she had her mom or her grandma, and then they were a little bit more manly, and then now they had her.
Wow, this guy's cracked the case.
A dykey little fucking manly woman with tattoos who likes to guzzle beer with their homegirls.
She likes, so she has friends and she enjoys artistic self-expression.
And her homeboys. And says she's bisexual, she likes to eat pussy, but
see, again, I fail to see the problem. She sounds wonderful.
He'll take a little dick too. You fucking stupid fucking piece of shit! I'm so tired!
Is this gonna end in him running into a tree? Are we gonna see his airbag deploy?
Out of this fucking dumb American Western bullshit!
I'm gonna have to clip the phrase dumb American Western bullshit, though. That could be used for so many other things. Like, I'm just thinking of Vosh, for example.
No one has any common sense.
Hey, Phoenix!
We need real feminine women back! Right now!
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
How do you even get turned on by a manly woman?
What, you want a description? Do you need charts?
How?
'Cause it's hot?
It's just so good, like, I don't even see a woman on a daily basis that I would even
yeah, I can believe that.
want to pursue in that kind of a way.
Yes, and the key word being here, pursue, because they all move away the minute he shows up.
I'm being real. Even if they
you gotta, if you look at this wonderful specimen of manhood here. How is he not getting laid?
Even if they look cute, as soon as they open their fucking manly mouth and start talking like a man, instant turn off.
I'm sure that they are crushed. I'm sure they are absolutely crushed.
I don't know, guys. America's fucked. If you want a real woman, a real wife, you gotta go to like Russia. Or if you're into Asian women, you gotta go to China.
or one of them countries,
or Thailand, or Philippines.
This guy has an app. I totally get that, Phoenix. Yeah, no, this is not satire. There's no way this is satire. But we're gonna look a little bit at this channel after that for a second as we're working out the next thing. And again, feel free to drop some links in there. Nightbot should not bother you. I've had a shitty week myself, Phoenix. I understand.
Or Germany is better than here, 100%.
Yeah, because there are no butch women with tattoos in Germany. Like, has this motherfucker ever been to Germany?
I've been to Germany. The women are better.
He's been to... Where in Germany was he? What, is he just talking about, like, the fucking servers at Oktoberfest?
Bar none. Or Japan would be better. If you're into Asian women, like I said, if you're like white women, fucking Poland,
Yeah.
Russia.
There's no way this is...
Belarus.
He's just naming fucking countries at this point. The fucking Czech Republic, fucking Poland, fucking Slovakia, Hungary, fucking Balkans, like your Serbia, your Bosnia Herzegovina. Is he just gonna be listing all the fucking countries? What is 988? If you want to say, I mean, I run out of countries I know. Oh wait, Canada, that's a country. There's Canada.
Probably any Slavic country. Turkey, even maybe if you're into Muslim chicks.
Muslim chicks.
Istanbul.
That's part of Turkey, actually. I think you'll find.
Anywhere but America. And what's really funny is we act like we're the best at everything.
I mean, yeah, that is funny because it's so not true. But
But we fucking suck at everything. We have the worst.
Yeah, I mean, he does. He sucks. He sucks at everything.
Women. We have the most crime, the most murders.
That's actually not true.
The worst of the worst is here. Like, immediately when you leave the country and you go to another country, you're just like, wow, I didn't know I could be like this.
What, it doesn't matter what fucking country you go to? Like, literally any country.
And you're fucking lied to your entire life to tell you that you're so blessed and so fortunate to be born in the best country in the world.
Okay, he's not wrong there. That is bullshit.
No, this country fucking sucks. So anyway, guys.
You notice he didn't indicate. He's about to make. He's turning. He didn't indicate. Yeah, of course, he's a guy who doesn't indicate.
Yeah, if you want a real woman, you're gonna have to go to another country.
Like Canada, that's a country.
99%.
Maybe Toronto, I guess that's a country too.
Maybe there's 1% here that's feminine and knows how to be a woman. But most likely you're gonna have to leave the country if that's what you're looking for.
There's no way that this is satire. Oh, I actually moved him on to like 0.75 speed just to add the drunk sound.
And if you're a woman that's watching this and you find yourself being manly, take some lessons on how to be feminine. Practice.
Yeah, because then you could wind up with a prize like this guy.
I'm sorry that your mom and grandmother sucked ass.
Why? I mean, that seems to be their thing.
And probably shouldn't have been a good candidate to be a mother, but now you're kind of stuck on this earth and you're like, well, how do I become a woman? I'm manly.
Yeah, because this is what we're all sitting here. That's what all of us are just wondering. How can we please guys who put on a shitty sweatshirt and scream at their phone while they're driving, not even looking at the fucking road, not even keeping their hands on their steering wheels?
You're going to have to seek out feminine.
It sounds like you were having a really rough time, Phoenix, and if you want to talk to me, talk to me privately off stream or whatever, I'm always there for that, just so you know. It's good to see you anyway.
Guidance from, good women. It's going to be tough in America to find that, but maybe you can search for that, join some sort of womanly club.
Yeah, a womanly club. One of those womanly clubs. This guy knows what he's talking about.
And say, hey guys, I know I'm kind of manly now, but I want to be a female.
What the fuck?
And maybe they can help you out. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry your parents suck.
Again, I mean, if they enjoy that.
I'm sure your dad's not in the picture either. And if he is, he's a simp. He's a duck, and he.
What's wrong with ducks? I love ducks. Ducks are wonderful. I like ducks better than I like this guy. Oh, that's a beautiful freeze frame I got, though. I'm gonna have to use this freeze frame if I decide to clip this.
Failed as a father, so just seek out good female guidance that are good wives, that are very feminine. Hard to find in America, but it's got to be out there somewhere. So anyway, thanks guys for watching. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think for a second that this crap is satire. Yeah, I know. No, this is like just legit chud takes. The fat women problem is getting worse. Tizo touchdown had the worst flop of all time. Mike Tyson heavyweight melonhead vape review. Yeah, I mean, this dickhead, this guy is exactly what it says on the tin, and his tin says Asher Jacks. And Jacks is what they call the toilet in Ireland. So it's like an Asher Jacks, I guess, is a toilet that somebody put a cigarette out in. That sounds about right. There we go. So that was an important question that's just been asked by Asher Jacks. It's like that's like the shitty off-brand Cracker Jacks that are just fucking cigarette butts with a little bit of like caramel sprinkled on them. Caleb Mop, okay. Yeah, exactly. And also, he's never actually explained his definition of feminine, except apparently it means not having friends, not going out with friends, not having tattoos, and being thin. But I'm going to move on another short one. This is Haz having a go at Caleb Muppet. And unlike most of his stuff, which is like 5 hours long, this is 7 minutes.
This has got to be just the most pathetic thing ever.
That could be like his intro thing.
Without any further ado, let's watch.
Hey everybody, I'm just landing here in New York.
See, Caleb Maupin does not record things while he's driving. Well, he lives in New York. Actually, that would be a safe place to record things while driving, just because you're constantly standing in traffic.
On my way home from Portland. First of all,
He has to go to Portland because when he got kicked out of the first CPI, you see, he registered the other one in Oregon for some reason. I mean, he could have registered it in Jersey just as well. I mean, that's right there. But he registered it in Oregon.
I want to say there's way too much denouncing and disavowing in our circles. Way too much of that. And that's not what this is. I'm not denouncing anyone.
What circle do we share with you, Caleb?
This circle of assholes who are actually just fast shitlords who are trying to lure a naive and inexperienced quasi-leftists into working together with Fash.
We don't share a circle. We share nothing with you. So that's the first mistake he
Yeah, I mean, look at this fucking Orientalist bullshit. He's got a fucking scimitar up there.
makes. He thinks he's like up there with us. He's not.
I guess I'm
Up there with us. Yes, you have not reached. You have not managed to reach the heights that scaled the heights of Haz, the world's most insecure man. Well, second most. That last guy. That last guy is definitely pretty much up there. They were briefly. They had a falling out, and he has had the most fucked up take possible on the whole Caleb Maupin sex pest cult thing, where he did a whole thing. We watched it on stream like months ago, and it was like he was kind of cool with the exploitation and all that and the cult shit, but he didn't like that there was kink in the mix. Well, there's lots of fashion. There's lots of fashion in the Pacific Northwest. Maybe he's going there for that.
just here to say I'm not Jackson Hinkle.
That's very... It's really good that he clarified that. And Jason Hinkle, also not Jackson Hinkle. Has, also not Jackson Hinkle.
Okay. Nobody thinks you're Jackson Hinkle. Nobody thinks you're Jackson Hinkle.
Yeah, Has is saying what we were all thinking.
Because you're a fucking nobody.
How did that isn't how I would distinguish him from Jackson Hinkle. That's like one of those things that would help you confuse
That's
him.
why nobody thinks you're Jackson Hinkle. You didn't have to clarify that for us, Caleb. We could tell by the fact that Jackson completely dwarfs you by every measurable metric of success.
No, I'm not.
Der Typ, der aufs Video reagiert, der heißt Has. Der ist ein Fascho. Wohnhaft in Michigan, wenn ich mich nicht irre. Und anders als Caleb Maupin hat mindestens eines der Vorworte des Manifest der Kommunistischen Partei gelesen. Kennt also genau einen Absatz mehr Marx als Caleb Maupin, also 3 Absätze insgesamt. Aber der ist auch so ein Fascho.
Not here to pick a fight with him.
Yeah, you are.
But stuff is getting back to me. Stuff I can't confirm, but
I mean, God, he is such a fucking junior high school vice principal. We got stuff that's getting back to me. Stuff I can't confirm, folks. There's stuff that's getting back to me, and let me just say, you're all gonna be in detention unless somebody owns up to it.
you know, people are saying it's according to some credible sources. I'm not going to repeat it because I'm not here to repeat it.
Why are you recording this in the fucking airport with all this fucking noise? I mean, you know there is such a thing as noise reduction. You don't have to just upload this like this. You can take this, like, I could, if I actually cared to, take this, run it through DaVinci Resolve, Fairlight, put a noise reducer on there and make this sound 10 times better, but he can't be bothered.
But the way the internet works is even though he has nothing to do with me at this point, even though he's dissed me pretty badly, people are going to try...
Oh, see, I had missed that he had dissed Caleb Maupin badly. See, on this channel, I try to diss Caleb Maupin well. Try to go for a high-quality Caleb Maupin dissing.
I did use this if it ends up being true or what.
Guys, some stuff is getting back to me. Not gonna repeat it here, but trust me, it's really bad.
No, fuck you, Haz. You don't get to take the piss out of him. You're worse.
He's pretty much just trying to slander Jackson without even having to make an accusation against him, let alone a credible one. His insinuation. I didn't even know what the fuck he's talking about until later.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't know what the fuck anything has, so, I mean, I thought that was just your normal state.
In the video where he talks about Andrew Tate, you'll see that's so weird. The idea...
Yeah, we looked at that one on stream, too, because his whole thing is, it's like 10 minutes of him saying, I don't know anything about Andrew Tate, so I'm not going to talk about Andrew Tate, and I made a 10-minute video that I uploaded to the YouTube just to tell you that I'm not talking about Andrew Tate. And it's like, who asked you?
You know that Caleb would know something before I do?
I don't know. I'm actually kind of gobsmacked that either of you know anything. I haven't seen any evidence of it.
Somebody who talks to Jackson every day and collaborates the closest, and he's gonna know something before me, is a fucking joke, okay? So
I don't think he actually said that he knew it before Has.
Going ahead and confirming he's just making shit up because he's a petty, vindictive, vengeful little bitch.
Well, I mean, I honestly have nothing to add here.
Who can't just make a video like I would. If you're so angry at Jackson...
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, he is making a video like you would. Except, admittedly, better sound quality and the camera placement, definitely improvement.
Make a video of yourself in the bathroom, really red, just, I hate Jackson Hinkle!
No, we do not need him to make a video of himself in the bathroom.
Just do that.
Whatever. People are going to try to use this to attack me. Well, I'm just telling you. This is a person that was somewhat friendly, March of 2022.
Yeah, I mean, they used to share a platform at the Creepy Pricks International until Caleb got kicked out of the first one for being a fucking sex pest.
And then stopped talking to me completely.
This just shows Caleb is a fraud. His whole life, his whole shtick. Why does the left attack me? I'm a principled anti-imperialist.
Which, no, he isn't. I mean, he has been, like, one of his recurring themes lately has been that somehow Trump sabotaging the inter-Korean talks a few years back was the beginning of a peaceful reunification.
If the left was concerned with anti-imperialism, they would not be attacking me. Okay, Caleb.
I mean, true enough. I mean, that is exactly what he does. I really cannot
Who is
fault
doing
that.
a better service to the cause of anti-imperialism? You or Jackson?
Neither of them. They both suck.
Jackson is. So why would you make this video? Why would you even think of making this video?
Well, that is a question you can ask about literally all of both of their videos. Like, I mean, that is, like, the question. Because... none of them are particularly good.
Jackson is doing not only in terms of anti-imperialism, by the way, in terms of promoting the ideas of communism with a capital C.
That's, for anyone who doesn't know in chat, Haz's thing is what's called MAGA communism, which is where he goes to fash rallies, says a bunch of fash shit, and then, manages to say some, like, fucking platitudes like, you know, it would be good if we could all get together, you know? If we all got together, and then he says, yeah, that's communism, and it's like, no, that's not communism, actually.
Nobody's doing better than Jackson right now.
You know, in this kind of work, doing this kind of work, you meet all kinds of different people.
You mean running a fucking cult?
And people have their struggles, and people have their difficulties.
Struggles? What is...
To everybody.
So does Jackson also have a spanking problem? He's struggling with? Because that's what he's trying to make it sound like. Caleb, you have struggles.
I mean, it's worth noting that one of the various things that came out of House's association with the first CPI, because he shared a platform with Caleb too at the CPI for a while. And there were actually accusations of SA from him as well.
Me and Jackson.
I mean, all these motherfuckers are creeps.
Completely normal. Speak for yourself, okay?
Yeah, in fact, Jackson is so normal that when he started his speech at the CPI thing in Austin, he says, "Oh, it's great to see so many normal people," and it's like, where?
Around that are part of his audience, he is not particularly thinking of them and thinking of how to make them better people, how to make.
Is he on drugs? What is he saying?
Yeah, he's rambling.
Jackson is not making his audience better. What?
Them feel better in their lives.
Well, neither are you, motherfucker. I mean,
and the way he conducted himself in March when I saw him, the only time
So this is what I wanted to address. Let's hear this.
Okay, this should be interesting. We're gonna get some lore.
Ever interacted with him directly, there was an arrogance there.
Which is you never see any arrogance from Caleb Maupin.
What could he possibly be talking about? What arrogance?
Oh, even though
because he's making it because he's this is what he,
I mean, this motherfucker added into CPI Mark II, into the Articles of Incorporation of CPI Mark II, which is also a commercial corporation, incorporated in the state of Oregon, that he is the ideological leader. But he's going to talk about arrogance now.
What he's doing, he's giving himself a false memory. He's like, oh, Jackson's this really big celebrity right now. I'm going to go ahead and project the resentment I have right now onto March 2022.
And Has would never project any resentments on anyone.
Oh, Jackson was this really arrogant, so he just thinks he's so much better than me.
To be fair, lots of people think they're better than Caleb Maupin, and most of them are right.
No, that's you remembering it that way because that's how you're projecting. You feel resentful toward him.
Motherfucker, are you saying you don't feel better than him? Clearly you do.
Now, so you're making it. You're like manufacturing your own memory to make it seem like the feeling you have now is like a fact of the past.
No, this was our conference that we put it on and all of that. He was.
So what?
This important social media commentator. We were the hell.
An important social media commentator.
What are you?
What the hell is an important social media commentator? So he posts shit on Twitter.
Talking about? What are you talking about? Like, give me one concrete example of how this makes sense.
Caleb doesn't do examples. Have you read his book? He doesn't provide examples of anything. He just says shit.
Oh, well, we were the hell. Dude, he's crazy. He's fantasizing about, like, what Jackson would...
I don't want to think about what fucking Caleb Maupin is fantasizing about, and I really do not want to think about what Has is fantasizing about Caleb Maupin fantasizing about it. I mean, that is a fucking Wattpad hashtag that I do not want anything to do with.
Think about him today, but I was at that conference. I also spoke there. Jackson was completely normal. There was nothing out of the ordinary in terms of how he conducted himself.
I mean, apart from being in a dodgy far-right cult.
Jackson Hinkle doesn't particularly like me.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I mean, honestly, if we were talking about, like, just normal, decent people, that would be a fair comment. But all these guys are assholes. You'd think there would be some ass solidarity.
He likes Andrew Tate, and, compare what Andrew Tate has done.
Oh, and now he's going to take a position on Andrew Tate.
Versus what I've done.
What he's saying that he's better than Andrew. He's not as bad as Andrew Tate, and therefore he's in a position to judge people. That is some sort of like. I'm not actually entirely certain.
And ask yourself why anyone would have an issue with me but be okay with Andrew Tate if it's.
Well, I mean that is a fair point. Like, they're both fucked up. Like, literally, the only actual decent position to take is fuck them both.
A moral thing.
But not literally.
Just think about that for a minute. But But yeah, I'm not.
But I love that he's just sitting here, like, comparing himself favorably to Andrew Tate, like that's some sort of moral flex.
Jackson Hinkle. I'm not.
So it seems like that he's trying to insinuate that Jackson is like a sex trafficker. Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me, doesn't it?
I thought he was just saying that he likes Andrew Tate. Are you about to defend him from accusations that haven't been made? And if so, why?
Because we didn't get any other hint of what this could be about.
Responsible for anything that Jackson Hinkle does. You know, and some people have pointed out to me that it seems like a lot of Jackson's material is a watered down, dumbed down attempt to try and say similar things that I said.
How could you water it down further?
Well,
Give one example.
really good to me.
He doesn't do examples, you know that.
You know, I like to build bridges. I like to restore relationships, and I hope that,
Yeah, he's a city builder. He's a city builder. Cities often have bridges, so obviously he builds bridges.
that what I'm hearing isn't true, and I'm hoping that bridges can be restored. But if what I'm hearing ends up being true,
This is a great way to mend fences with somebody. To just show up, just shoot a shitty video with all sorts of noise in the background as you're walking through JFK Airport to disavow them, not say why you're disavowing them, but just very clearly distancing yourself from something that you're not even saying what the hell it is, and then point out that they like a notoriously fucked up sex cult leader, and then say that you're not as bad as the fucked up sex cult leader. Like, I mean, this is his way of, like, rekindling friendships.
on top of that, you know, not just that, but if it's as bad as it sounds, and if it is what it is, then I can just tell you it doesn't say anything about me.
Okay, from which we can deduce that he was totally involved in whatever the hell it was.
This is it. This is totally the face of someone not lying. This is totally the face. It's his facial expression says it all. This is what he's saying through his eyes, through his face. You're not a Jackson guy?
Okay. I have to admit, I absolutely have to admit that he does a good Caleb Maupin.
I'm way better than him. He gets more views than me? Well, he's really bad. You should watch me instead. Dude, he literally looks like a turtle in his shell.
No, he doesn't.
He's red when he says this.
He's always red. He color corrects his shit to be red.
This is some major Chris Chan type of shit. This type of face he's making. Dude, you're like 40 years old! I cannot fucking believe this guy was serious. I cannot believe he was serious.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard him do other impressions, but that was a really good one. But okay, so let's see. And again, chat, if you've got some ideas where to go next, we've still got about a half an hour. Deranged Tanky makes wild attack against Vosh. Oh, wait a sec. Or, this majority report segment is wrong. From Fush. That's a thought. Or, do not vote third party. I mean, there's a few here. And if anyone wants to just chuck a link in chat, and we'll see, for, if you have a suggestion or something like that, feel free. But, But I think we're going to start out with This majority report segment is wrong. I don't know what the hell this is. But we're gonna find out.
A brief history of NATO and American imperialism. Oh no.
Oh no, we're gonna learn facts about the role of the United States in the world. Vosh hates facts about the role of the United States in the world. I mean, how could you possibly question the role of a country, role in the world of a country that looks at top Israeli leaders openly stating that they have genocidal intent and says, let's give these fuckers $10 billion more to do it with?
I don't know which one would of you want to take this question, but give us just sort of like the...
Okay, so we have guests on. Wait, who are the guests? Let me know who the guests are first. Hosts of the American Prestige podcast. Okay.
Okay, I've not heard of either of them.
History of NATO since maybe, since 93, when the Soviet Union falls. I think everybody understands where NATO sort of developed in the wake of World War II. An alliance that was created across the Atlantic between allies from World War II, but also in terms of like the burgeoning Soviet bloc. But since 93, give us a little bit of a thumbnail. Okay,
this could be interesting. I wonder what Vosh is going to find to disagree with.
Sure, Derek, maybe I could start and you could correct me where I'm wrong. It's interesting to look back on what happened to NATO, because the question was, at the time, was the United States going to continue to try to dominate the world?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't remember that being a question. I mean, the U.S. was very openly, around that time, saying, there was, the year before, George Bush had given a speech where he said that the New World Order, which, with the Soviet Union gone, was what we say goes. I mean, there was no question of that. There was briefly some discussion that was entertained about, with no Soviet Union to antagonize, is there a need for there to be a NATO, since it's not responding to anything. And there was actually a period in which Russia was actually possibly going to wanted to join NATO, because this was the era of security cooperation and shit that ended in the early 2000s. Daniel Bessner, I haven't heard of him. Oh hey, there's some hilarious shit from Chen Koigor. Adrien, what is it? Where is it?
The justification for U.S. hegemony for the previous half century was really that the Soviet Union, if it wasn't confronted, would take over the world and communism would go forward. So the question was...
And that was the public justification, it's worth noting. We know now there's tons of declassified planning documents going back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, where it becomes very clear nobody in Washington, nobody involved in policy planning seriously thought the Soviet Union was any kind of military threat. They considered the Soviet Union their assessment was pretty accurate, that the Soviet Union was not going to have any interest in doing any kind of aggressive warfare to expand, their sort of sphere of influence, because they just got wrecked in the last war and it was going to take them decades to recover. The threat that top NATO planners saw was an ideological threat. They were worried that the Soviet model of development appealed to what the U.S. called their service areas in the Third World, in the imperial periphery.
Was there going to be a peace dividend that was going to be used to, spend money on things like social welfare instead of military alliances abroad?
Yeah, there was that discussion, and it died very quickly.
When there was no perceived existential threat. NATO was related to that. It was maybe, the prime discussion when we were talking about the transatlantic alliance. But of course, the U.S. did continue to commit itself to hegemony. And since 1993, roughly speaking, NATO has become more and more involved in a bunch of areas that it previously didn't really do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's become just outright aggressive. I mean, it occupied fucking Afghanistan for over 20 years. NATO countries were involved in the long-term destruction and occupation of Iraq. NATO right now I mean, what Israel and the U.S. are doing to the Palestinians, which is also NATO, by the way, not Israel, but the U.S., is getting a lot of attention, rightly so. But NATO is currently attacking Rojava, using the opportunity to just murder a whole bunch of Kurds. That's NATO too. You want to talk about how great NATO is, you have to actually talk about all the stuff that is being done with, at the very least, the tacit approval of NATO by NATO members.
It had deployed troops in Eastern Europe. It even deployed troops out of area in 2011, right, Derek, during Libya. So I think the story over the last 30 years is just NATO becoming...
Yeah, that's right. And they reestablished slavery in Libya, and were involved in promoting a large-scale ethnic cleansing of black Libyans. And now Libya just manages these huge concentration camps for African refugees to try to prevent them crossing the Mediterranean to seek relative safety in Europe. I mean, you can't really look at an honest history of NATO and think that this is a good thing.
Being larger and larger, doing more and more things that it didn't really do during the Cold War, and becoming really a synecdoche for U.S. empire and the United States.
Well, I mean,
to dominate.
To be honest, it always was a bit of a synecdoche for U.S. empire. I mean, the U.S. always dominated NATO. It was always an alliance where the U.S. really called the shots, and it still is.
Large.
Well, we should also say
I don't think the idea that NATO's expansion is a product of American hegemony exclusively really gels with our intervention in Serbia.
How the fuck does it not? It seems like those two things gel pretty well. Want to explain that?
Or Yugoslavia, whatever, when we stop...
Yeah, Serbia, Yugoslavia, whatever. This guy comments on world affairs. People take his words seriously. Serbia, Yugoslavia, fucking, I don't know, Macedonia, whatever.
Up the genocide of the Kosovars. That was very clearly like a regional stability thing.
Well, yeah, except regional stability is a technical term used by U.S. imperialists. Places are stable if they are doing what the U.S. wants them to do.
And I'm sure that, NATO countries in Europe didn't really want to deal with a bunch of Kosovar or Albanian refugees. I understand that.
Now he's like, okay, there's more than one intervention here. There's the intervention on the side of, between the sort of dueling fascists that were carrying out the war in the Balkans. They intervened heavily on the Croatian side. But then there is later the war again. The U.S. led massive bombing of civilian targets in the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, now known as Serbia, which was officially justified as being out of concern for the safety of Kosovo Albanians, except that Wesley Clark, who was in charge of the thing, in an interview early on said, no, nobody had actually, somebody had asked him, are there any contingency plans to ensure that this does not end up making things worse for the Albanians, which indeed it did. It actually, if you look at Milosevic's indictment, and you look at the dates on which the things he's charged with happened, they're all after this and in response to it. And Wesley Clark, at the time, was the Supreme Commander of Allied Forces in Europe, and he said he considered it entirely possible this was going to make the situation worse for the Kosovo Albanians, and any plans to protect them had not been shared with him. He said this on television. Later on, Strobe Talbot, a Clinton staffer, ended up writing that really the concern was that Milosevic had been dragging his heels on neoliberal economic structural readjustment policies, and this was a way to encourage him in that direction. Okay, sorry about that. I turned it down because the last video was so loud.
I mean, the problem that we're always going to fall back on when it comes to discussions like this is that everything a country does geopolitically is going to be self-interested.
Yeah, that's the point.
So when you say America does these things to expand American empire, the natural follow-through on that is, well, of course, all countries are trying to do this.
He's like so close to understanding the critique.
We're just better at it because we're so powerful. But like, if
yeah, that doesn't make it a good thing. The fact that all capitalist states have a tendency, to the extent of their capabilities, to engage in imperialism, is why capitalist states shouldn't exist. It's not why it's okay for the U.S. to do it.
I don't think you can stop at saying, well, this thing that happened was to America's interest. Because even if it was America's interest to intervene in Serbia, it was also morally good, you know?
The troops are deployed in Afghanistan. NATO has a part of their treaty.
Yeah, I mean, and nobody remembers that shit. Nobody, I mean, very few people, I mean, have that I hear talk about this, have any real recollection. I mean, I remember when it was going on. I followed it closely. I followed, I mean, the bombing of the only independent cigarette factory in Europe. I mean, they did a great job of attacking major civilian economic targets that would hurt, the economy of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, and more or less avoid. Well, they also bombed a refugee convoy, and then they gave a press conference to show that this was an understandable accident. And then it turned out they had put the fucking video of this, their like in-flight video of what was going on, in fast forward, sped it up several times to make it look like there was no way that they could have avoided it.
Is that you attack one of us and the rest of us will come, and that's what justified their involvement in Afghanistan.
Except that doesn't follow, because the thing is, the NATO charter is not like above the UN charter legally, and the right to self-defense does not include the right to just invade and occupy a country because it supposedly is harboring a person who was responsible for an attack. Because the stated justification, everyone forgets the stated justification for why the U.S. went to and invaded and occupied Afghanistan and murdered huge numbers of people. Because what the U.S. did was they went to the Taliban leadership and said, you have Osama bin Laden, hand him over. The Taliban leadership, who, whatever else you want to say about them, they did not want to get blown to bits. So they said, yeah, okay, we'll do it. I mean, they were under no legal obligation because there's no extradition treaty with Afghanistan, but they didn't want to get just blown to shit. So they said, yeah, but we do need you to provide us with some evidence that he was directly involved in this. Which, I mean, that is still way below the standard of a normal extradition proceeding. And the U.S. said, fuck you, we're just going to invade. They didn't even take them up on that. There would have been absolutely no reason, like the way that you would prove that was not an honest offer, and there's every reason to believe it was, simply because these guys didn't want to get blown up. They were trying to avoid a U.S. invasion, obviously. They're trying to appease the United States. Most of the world is constantly in the business of trying to appease the United States. That always gets, when the view from the U.S. obscures this a lot of the time. So the way you actually prove that that's a bullshit counter-offer is to take them up on it, offer the evidence, and, say, okay, hand him over now. But instead the U.S. said, fuck you, and invaded, and occupied the place for 20 years and just caused all sorts of horrors.
Although, oddly, it wasn't necessarily Afghanistan that was attacked us on 9/11.
Oh, hang on. Oh, you're in YouTube? Let me see. Maybe YouTube is blocking this. Hang on. I do not see a link. Are you in the Discord?
I mean, there's a lot of asterisks there. Let's put it that way.
I mean, I stopped. Nightbot should not be intercepting your links. I turned that off.
But let's go, Derek. Let's go to like 2004, where
Somebody in Vosh's chat claims the U.S. is super popular in Kosovo. That's bullshit. I mean, Kosovo is widely described as a failed state because it is essentially more or less jointly run by a military occupation, a NATO military occupation, and organized crime. And it has remained a major source of refugees for a very long time as a result.
11 years after, and the ostensible sort of justification, rationale for NATO sort of falls apart, right? And like and at that time, there was a deal struck with Ukraine of their defense to get rid of nukes. And I remember in '93, the sort of the peace dividend that was going to show up and never sort of did. And but in 2004, there's an expansion. Just talk a little bit about that, because that really gives you a sense of where this is all going.
Yeah, and it's okay. They're probably going to mention this, that the part of the reunification of Germany and allowing East Germany to join NATO was an oral agreement, but that has been confirmed by both sides, that the U.S. would not expand 1 inch to the east, because Russia and the Soviet Union before it has a not irrational fear of being invaded from the West, because they experienced 2 devastating invasions from the West over the past century.
I think, to sort of build on what Danny was talking about, and also
more and more Europeans are calling for more strategic autonomy and forming European army outside the centralized command of NATO. I'm fine with that.
Actually, I mean, what they're talking about there is the common defense, the common military and foreign policy of the EU. But I've not heard anyone say that would be outside of NATO, though. Yeah, drop the link in the Discord. Hang on, let me get to the right server. Yeah, okay, I'm in the Discord. Feel free to drop the link there. Are you in the Discord, Reckless Future? Let me just drop that link here. I was going to do that in a moment anyway.
I'm okay with that. I think that's fine. I think that, functionally, the West as a bloc, if you're thinking of, America plus Western Europe, plus a few others, of course.
Also known as the international community.
I don't think their material interests are going to deviate that much from, Western Europe's interests, but I think that local alliance...
Which says, that's because when you're talking about the West, you are basically just talking about the imperial core. And there's an entire international system that has been built largely post-World War II that has created this sort of commonality of interests of the Western and European imperialist states.
Alliances are generally a good thing because it disincentivizes these countries from fighting with each other, right? I mean, personally, my logic is that I want...
Yeah, that's such a great argument, because if there's one thing that world history has taught us, it's that when there are a lot of military alliances, then there's less war. There were no military alliances leading up to the First World War, for example, famously. I mean, first of all, I mean... The idea, and it disincentivizes them to fight each other, but they're bringing war to all the other parts of the fucking world. I guess Vosh says fuck them.
The whole world to be in NATO. It's not possible, of course, but the idea of everyone being bound together in shared military and economic treaties makes it a lot harder for global war to spread. We want people to get along, right? Do you count Poland or Czechia as Western Europe? No. Nah, I don't. I think...
Well, I'm glad we have such a thoughtful geopolitical commentator here. Nah.
If you're drawing Western Europe the way most people do, which is the Iron Curtain, then Germany is the last one on the boat when it comes to Western Europe, you know.
To pick up on something you said there, which was NATO's ostensible purpose is no longer relevant. I think if you dig into what NATO was really supposed to be about, and there's a great piece in the New York Times maybe a week ago now by Gray Anderson and Thomas Meany that really argues that NATO was never really a Cold War defense alliance. It was an arm of American empire. It was
yeah, I mean, and if you look at the declassified record, that is very explicitly the case. I mean, that has never been the justification for NATO for public consumption, but internally, it was always understood that the point of NATO is that it was the long arm of the United States.
A way to maintain U.S. hegemony over European politics in a much broader sense than just defense, but it was a way
Definitely.
to keep U.S. military contractors selling weapons.
Yeah, in fact, one of the requirements NATO now has is they're requiring all member states to spend an arbitrary percentage of GDP on weapon systems. There's no actual military reason that makes sense. There's no metric of military, efficacy that is tied to GDP, because that's just not how wars work. But it does cut into social spending, and it does increase profits for largely U.S., but also Western European weapons companies.
It was a way to...
This is true to an extent, but this is also how military alliances work.
Yeah, I mean, that's his entire thing. Now he's gonna... Yeah, it's there's imperialism, but there's also,
as is a military alliance, as with any other kind of alliance, is meant to allow one the opportunity to sort of exert influence on countries within the alliance.
That's the point. That's the fucking critique.
Sometimes
he just repeats it. He's like one of those crypto bros who, when you point out things like that it's a scam, all they do is repeat it back to you, like that's an answer to your critique. All he's doing is repeating back the critique as if that was an answer. Okay. Oh, that Daniel Bessner! I think I remember this. I think I was also very critical of that article. And didn't he, protect his account when he got a whole bunch of criticism because he basically sort of denied that there was fascism in the U.S. or something like that?
Sometimes you're a weaker country and you want to be part of an alliance so that you're protected, and sometimes you're a stronger country and you want to form alliances, both to protect yourself and because it gives you an inroad with other countries when it comes to, say, influencing their defense spending or their strategic priorities.
Okay.
Again, it's not a good or a bad thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is kind of a bad thing.
It's just the nature of alliances. It's always you guys understand what I'm getting at here, right? Where it's always one of those, well, it was to expand U.S. empire. Well, it was to the U.S.'s interests. And it's well, yeah, of course, because...
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the fucking critique. You're gonna... You just sort of nod along. You can't... If you're gonna, answer the critique, you have to disagree. You can't just say, yeah, of course. Then you've just... Yeah, that's the entire critique people are making. Oh, well, welcome. Ooh, Robert Smith on the monarchy. And, okay, we're going on for 1 a.m., so it is time for me to wrap it up. I already dropped the Discord link in there. Thank you so much. And if you enjoyed the stream, please consider paying for the stream by becoming a patron over at Patreon. I'll also drop a PayPal link in there. It helps me cover my overall expenses and stuff like that, and helps me keep making all sorts of hopefully interesting shit. So all sorts of support is always welcome there. I will be back tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. and we will do another of these sorts of streams. Oh, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. At the moment, I mean, I'd seen somebody early on in this just absolutely horrific week in the world saying it's our duty to be traumatized, and that never made any fucking sense to me, because trauma is just a wound. Our duty is to try to do what we can to make this thing stop from, the position that we're in the world. Getting traumatized in itself does not help anybody. It doesn't help us, it doesn't help the Palestinians, it doesn't do any fucking good, and so turning off for a couple of hours and looking at other stuff is definitely okay, because you have to recharge if you're actually gonna, if you want to actually fight the good fight, you have to have the physical and emotional energy to be doing it effectively. And I also just need to kind of take my eyes off of it for at least a little while anyway, because it is all I've been doing, other than listening to shitty Muzak versions of She Drives Me Crazy this past week and wrecking my right ankle. I will be back tomorrow. I hope to see you all then. I look forward to it. And have a good night.